With free agency, the NFL draft, and rookie mini camps now in the books, as well as the NFL's schedule release, we are now officially gearing up for the 2024 season. Today, I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and check out our roster, look at each position, see how everything is shaping up, and check out an updated view of our depth chart. Let's go ahead and get right into it. First, we're starting on the offense, where number one pick Caleb Williams is going to have the most talented supporting cast of any Bears quarterback this century. Ryan Poles has done a wonderful job bringing in big name stars like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, and Rome Odunze. But what about the depth on the offensive side of the ball, as well as the offensive line? Let's start at the quarterback position, where we have four players on the roster currently. Caleb Williams has already been named our starting quarterback. There will be no competition there. I expect Tyson Bagent to be QB2, and I actually expect Austin Reed, the rookie undrafted free agent, to beat out Brett Rippon for the QB3 job. And unlike some people, I just do not expect to see a veteran quarterback signed. I think we could end up going into the year with three very young quarterbacks, but to me, it's just another reason to get excited about this team going forward. We finally have our franchise quarterback. That is the biggest thing here. Moving on to the running back position, we have another three-headed monster heading into the 2024 season with DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, and Khalil Herbert on the roster. But on top of that, Travis Homer and Ian Wheeler both bring dynamic special teams ability to the table as well. This is one of our most talented rooms on the entire roster. DeAndre Swift should be the de facto starter. He's a home run threat and a weapon for this offense. And then I think both Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson bring change of pace upside and the ability for Shane Waldron to create a balanced rushing attack going forward. I expect a battle between those two for the running back 2 role, but we could also just go with the hot hand week by week. I also believe Ian Wheeler has a shot to make the roster. I think he can beat out Travis Homer due to his electric ability as a return man. It's going to be another fun battle to watch out for in camp. And then moving on to the wide receiver position, where we have the big three here. With DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze, it's the best wide receiver trio we've ever had in Chicago in my lifetime. Three guys who I believe are capable of being legit number one weapons in almost any NFL offense. The more I think about how incredible our receiver room is right now, the more excited I get for this season. I believe this is legit the best wide receiver trio in the entire NFL. It's what's after our big three that can be a little concerning. The current battle for wide receiver 4 is between Velus Jones Jr. and Tyler Scott. My hope is that one of these guys has a huge training camp and steps up, and that will further improve our weapons on offense even more. If that happens, teams should be terrified of Caleb Williams. After Velus and Tyler Scott, though, we still have Dante Pettis, Nasimba Webster, Colin Johnson, and Freddie Swain, who was signed a couple weeks ago. Joining them are two more undrafted free agent rookies, Peter LeBlanc and John Jackson III. That's currently 11 receivers on the roster. Last year, we kept 7. This year, that number is likely to be 6 or 7 again. I think the first 5 guys are pretty safe. Velus and Tyler Scott will most likely make the roster, barring something unforeseen. I think it's most likely that Poles is going to give Velus Jones Jr. one last chance to provide some value, either as a kick returner or a wide receiver 4. And then the last 2 spots there are going to be a battle for. Dante Pettis is the most accomplished guy out there. Freddie Swain is my sleeper to make the team. And then it comes down to whether or not John Jackson or Peter LeBlanc could actually beat out Dante Pettis for a roster spot. Definitely worth watching in training camp. And then tight end is another position that I consider a strength. Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett give us 2 legit top 15 caliber tight ends in the NFL. Both guys could start for most teams. Arguably 2 of the league's top 10 tight ends. Gerald Everett is definitely underrated, and he brings another legit weapon to this offense. And meanwhile, Cole Kmet is ascending and one of the better young tight ends in the league. The battle here is for the tight end 3 spot. And with Kmet and Everett, I think we could use a solid blocking tight end for this role. Now, we do know that Shane Waldron used a lot of 3 tight end sets last year. I don't expect to see as much of that after we drafted Rome Odunze, but we still need a third tight end on this roster. It's possible we sign someone like a Mercedes Lewis, but right now the battle should be between holdover Steven Carlson and rookie camp standout Tommy Sweeney, a 5-year vet looking to come back in the NFL after injuries. But on top of that, we also have undrafted rookie Brendan Bates out of Kentucky. If I had to choose, my sleeper of the group is Tommy Sweeney. I love his story, and I think there's a real battle here for that tight end 3 spot. But now let's move on to the offensive line, where our starting lineup is pretty much set. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I believe Braxton Jones is our left tackle. Tevin Jenkins is our left guard. Nate Davis or Ryan Bates is going to play right guard, with Darnell Wright at right tackle. And for me, that would leave Coleman Shelton at the center position. I believe Ryan Bates has more of a chance to start at right guard than he does at center right now. My money's on Coleman Shelton winning the center job, with Ryan Bates serving as competition and insurance for Nate Davis and being the swing interior guy where he can play left guard, right guard, or center. I think Braxton Jones is a ascending player. I think Darnell Wright could be one of the better tackles in the NFL at some point. And you guys know I love Tevin Jenkins. So then what about the backups? I think Karana Megaji is a lock to make the roster, of course, and then along with Jatiri Carter and then one or two other players. Right now, there's a battle between Larry Borum, Matt Pryor, and Jake Curran, as well as the undrafted rookies. Someone is going to need to win a spot there. I think it's very possible that Larry Borum most likely gets cut due to his contract status. I think Matt Pryor should make the team. He can play tackle or guard. And then the guy I would keep an eye out for is Theo Benedict. I really like his upside. But as always, the goal will be to find the best starting 5. But let's go ahead and move on to the defense, where it's led off by Montez Sweat at defensive end, with Andrew Billings and Big Gervon Dexter as our starters at defensive tackle. And then we have DeMarcus Walker at the other defensive end spot. Keep an eye out for an additional free agent signing here. I've mentioned Unique Ngakoue multiple times, but Ryan Poles could definitely add one more piece to this defensive line. Austin Booker is our most exciting edge rusher off the bench. He should easily make the roster. Same with Zach Pickens, who I see getting a lot more playtime in year 2. Now that gives us 6 defensive linemen right there, and that's why I believe UDFA Keith Randolph Jr. has a good shot to surprise and make this team. And then the final spots on the defensive line are going to be a battle, as Dominique Robinson's roster spot is not guaranteed either. I put him in a similar boat as Velus Jones Jr. I think Ryan Poles does want to give him a chance to break out in year 3, but he's going to have to battle guys like Jamri Cromah, Jacob Martin, John McCartan, Byron Coward, Deshaun Mallory, Daniel Hardy, Khalid Kareem, and Michael Dwunfor for the final spots on this defensive line. There's definitely going to be a lot of competition here. Watch out for Jamri Cromah and Keith Randolph Jr. I love both of those UDFAs. And then at the linebacker spot, we have 4 easy locks to make the roster: Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Jack Sanborn, and Noah Sewell. And then we have a battle for the remaining spot or 2. Free agent addition Amen Ogbongbemiga has a good chance to stick around as a special teamer, and the final spot will be up for grabs. I like undrafted free agent Carl Jones out of UCLA, and then the guys he's going to be battling are Paul Moala and Micah Baskerville. Our linebacker position is pretty set, just looking to fill those last 2 spots. And then we get to probably our deepest position on the entire roster, cornerback, led by our newly extended All-Pro Jalen Johnson, who's joined by the underrated Kyler Gordon, second-year guys Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith, and then the last couple of spots have been manned by Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, and Greg Stroman Jr. But look out for undrafted free agent Reddy Stewart here. He's a ball hawk, and I think he can surprise people and stick around. Other guys on the roster now are Leon Jones and Douglas Coleman III. And then finally, we get to the safety position, which features an exciting tandem of Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker. These guys complement each other very well, and it gives us a more versatile secondary, as both Brisker and Byard are capable of playing in the box or playing center field and dropping into coverage. This allows Matt Eberflus to mix up his coverages and keeps offenses on their toes. On top of that, we have a guy I really like. Third-year safety Elijah Hicks is returning after he's done a pretty good job filling in for Eddie Jackson down the stretch last year. He started 8 games over the last 2 years, and he has 63 tackles, a pass deflection, and a forced fumble. Now, Elijah Hicks had solid run grades, but he gave up 4 touchdowns in coverage and needs to continue getting better. That's why the Bears signed Jonathan Owens, a guy who started all 17 games with the Texans in 2022 and then started 11 games with the Packers last year. That's 28 starts over the last 2 years. He has 1 interception and a forced fumble that he returned for a touchdown to go along with 227 total tackles. Right now, Jonathan Owens is easily the favorite to take over that third safety spot, and that allows Elijah Hicks more time to develop and play special teams. And then on top of that, we also have Tavarius Moore, Adrian Colbert, Quindell Johnson, and AJ Thomas. Our secondary is absolutely loaded, and we should be one of the best in the entire NFL. And then finally, on special teams, Trenton Gill was already cut. It's going to be Cairo Santos at kicker, who just signed a big extension. And then Tory Taylor, our 4th-round draft pick, the rookie punter from Australia, is going to be anchoring our special teams unit. The only question here is how much longer is Patrick Scales going to stay as our long snapper? Cameron Lyons is here to challenge Scales, who is by far the longest tenured Chicago Bear. He's been our long snapper since 2015, and he hasn't missed a game in 7 years. He will be 36 years old this season. So taking a quick peek at the starting lineup on both sides of the ball, it's not hard to see how much Ryan Poles has improved this roster in just over 2 years on the job. I continue to give Ryan Poles a large amount of credit. What he and Ian Cunningham have been able to do has been pretty special. This team is now loaded with talent and young athletic talent at that, and guys who have great character. I love what this roster is shaping out to be. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. There aren't going to be as many position battles for starting jobs this year. Most of our battles in training camp are going to be at the bottom of the roster and backup jobs. That's it for this one, guys. I wanted to take a better look at our depth chart. You guys are always asking for videos like these, and I don't put them out too often, but I wanted to take a few minutes to cover the entire roster. I appreciate everybody who watches. Please hit that like button for me. I have another huge video on the way. It should be out today or tomorrow, covering what Shane Waldron brings to this offense and why it's a perfect fit for Caleb Williams. Make sure you have those notifications turned on. Please remember to hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.